give up on, because it takes a lot longer to learn how to maintain it here than it does to learn how to escape on the bottom. So people who start out, they'll find their mount just disappears and think, oh, fuck the mount, I can't be bothered with this, can never hold them down. Side control is better for beginners because that's a bit less of a learning curve. With mount, first point is that the control point framework I've talked about before, that applies in mount as well. So again, I want to have control, the shoulders and head triangle, and also the line of the hips. And as you can see, I'm sat on the hips. So it's a bit different in mount compared to side control, where I have to adjust to claim those areas. In mounts, I have to adjust to claim them better, essentially. So while I'm sat on the hips, I'm not actually controlling it as well as I could do, because the hips, for the person at the bottom, that's where their power is. And where I'm sat here is not particularly strong in terms of my balance. If they knock me forwards, I'm going to go flying. So ideally, I don't want to be right on the hips. Yep, I've cut out again. Yep. So I don't want to be right on the hips, because if I'm right on the hips, they can easily knock me forwards and I'll fly over here. So I don't want that. So I need to find a way either to move up higher off their hips, so up here. So if I get up high, they're bumping their hips. I don't care. I'm up high here. Their momentum is not going to affect me if I'm up here. Alternatively, if I want to stay down here, I need to find a way to lock myself to them. So if they're bumping around, I can avoid being knocked forward. So the harder option of that is essentially treat them like a horse, and you're a talented rider. So when they bump up and down, you're kind of doing this. So you're riding their motion, anticipating, meaning that when they come up, I kind of move with it so I don't get that sudden knocking forwards. It's like I'm riding the horse. So if you've done horse riding, which you might have done, it's the difference between it going like, ow, my balls really hurt, or this. For a woman, naturally, that's not such a problem. That one I find difficult, but it is a good option. I guess particularly if you're a talented horse rider maybe, or a rodeo rider, you'd find that really easy. But for me, it doesn't work very well. Also, maybe if you've got longer legs, that could help too. The one I prefer is the grapevine. So ideally I'd have something with legs for this. But what you're doing is from here, it's changing the position of my hips. So first off, I want to not stay up here, because I find this is where I'm going to get bumped forwards. And also, particularly if someone's got long legs, they can do annoying things like their legs will suddenly appear and pull you backwards, coming up on your armpits. That's really annoying. So I'm going to move forwards and get a crossface. Like, again, with the side control, sorry. I'm going to come forwards, down here, get my crossface. So I'm down low. So now they're bumping. It's not have so much effect, because I'm attached to them. Like we were saying about the control points, I've got them again. So I've got the head and I've got the shoulders. I'm locking my arm here. So this is a strong control over the first 3 primary control points. To get the other 2, the hips, I'm going to use my legs. And you can see at the moment, I'm like this. So my back is relatively flat. Even worse, if I'm up like this, I'm not putting any pressure on them. What I want to happen is that I curve my back. So if you know the yoga positions, so kind of cat, cow, I want to do a cow. So I will bring my legs back, so now you see my body position changes. I'm pushing my hips down. I want to imagine that they're not here, and I'm trying to pin them to the mat with my hips straight into the mat. My legs, they're going to go underneath their legs. So if I've got short legs or I'm flexible, I'm going to tuck them underneath them and kind of put my legs together. So that would look, I'm kind of doing this, sort of crossing my feet underneath them, or potentially put my feet together like that. If I'm too tall for that, my legs are too long, then I'm going to need to bring my legs all the way back and hook their legs. Okay, so I can't show that with the grappling dummy, but the idea is if you have, well, I guess I could try it with the arms. So let's say, this will work. So these are the legs now. I'd be hooking under them and kind of attaching there, so hooking around the leg, trying to wrap it with my leg. Okay, again, I can't really show that on the grappling dummy, but hopefully you get the idea. But for me, I generally just cross them under the butt, because I've got both short legs and I'm relatively flexible, so I find that comfortable. The one thing to be aware of on that is that if I have my feet crossed under them like this, if they put loads of pressure here, if you're not used to that, that could be quite painful driving it through your ankle, so just be aware of that. You might want to just put your feet together if you're a bit concerned on that one. and watch your ankle flexibility. Okay, does that all make sense so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's getting the control points. So you don't really want to stay there, because being in low mount is great, but there aren't many attacks from there. There's only really the Ezekiel. So if I'm here, I can do the Ezekiel choke, but that's about it in terms of effective attacks from the low mount. I need to be in the high mount for attacks. And to get to the high mount, naturally, I need to move up higher. So this is where some of the stuff we've been talking about applies. So particularly the elbows are up here, which is quite common. I need to be driving up to get up higher like this. So it could be as simple as simply moving my legs forwards, depending on what they're going to do. So if they've got really tight legs here, I'm not going to go anywhere because their elbows are blocking my legs. So if you're super strong, you can like go and smash through the arms, but normally not going to be that powerful. So I need to find a way to remove the elbows. My favourite way of doing that is similar to something we've talked about before, and that's the walking your arm up to get their arm out the way. So I'm going to again hook it around an elbow, which because their arms will be in this position if they're defending tight will be easier. So I'm going to get my arm hooked around the elbow here, and then I'll just adjust the camera so you can see that properly. Because I've got two cameras on the go. Hooking here, you see I've got the elbow, and then walk like this. You see that gets the arm out the way. Then I can move my knee up and repeat on the other side until I'm up high. Also applies if they do something like pushing into my leg. This would be a mistake on their part, but let's say they do that, makes it easier for me. I can hook under their arm and again walk up, and now I've got an even better position and I've got their arm. Okay, and that gets me into this high mount position. So how high you go will depend on what techniques you like to do. So if I'm up high, but still kind of below their shoulders a bit, then I can start going for arm bars, chokes, etc. If I get up super high, so I call this super high mount, so I'm up high up here until I can essentially, they're wearing my knees as earmuffs and their arms are like this, different attacks. So I might get the arm bar from doing that, going against their arm, taking their back, or a couple of more esoteric ones, like the one from Andrew Smith. I can't exactly remember how it is, but it's something very weird along these lines. You got it here, and you sort of armbar them by pushing your head backwards. It's quite random, but there are different options, is my point. But most of the time, you're going to be wanting to get to kind of a mid-range high mount when you're starting out, so you can do the classic armbar choke combinations. If you're either you just don't like that, like in my case, I'm not so keen on that, or maybe you're more advanced, then you go super high and then you can do those other attacks. Does that make sense? Any questions?
That's all good.
Okay, cool. So have a play with that one, guys.